Well, what's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 14 of the Roots of Success podcast. I am your host, Nate the Great Peterman, and today I have a very, very special guest. I've known him for probably about 3 to 4 years, to be honest. Met him at a conference out in Phoenix, Arizona. Amazing conference. My guy, Pierre Evans. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? Appreciate you having me on, man. I feel privileged. You know what I mean? I got episode 14. I didn't have to wait to 200, so I feel
good. Absolutely, man. I mean, you're over there killing it. I'm glad I can have you on, Pierre. It really means a lot, man. I know you're busy. I just got back home from having events I saw. And for those of you who might not know who Pierre is and sort of want a little bit of a background and whatnot, so Pierre Evans, he's an author, international speaker, and personal development coach. He's making a big impact on students from high schools to universities, as well as corporate world, with his unique approach and delivery of real life issues. With a significant social media presence, his message is traveling fast and there's no sign of slowing. Due to his lack of education and his unwillingness to follow rules, many counted him out. For Pierre, it was just one more thing for him to overcome. He learned that being the underdog is a huge advantage. It allowed him to study the top using his personal experiences. He's able to pass on the tools that continue to help him reach new levels of success. As a high school dropout, Pierre, to many, is not the smartest, but his determination and hustle is hard to argue. After 17 years, he went back to get his GED, and now he's taken the country by storm. He has been privileged to be mentored by one of the greatest motivational speakers in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas of Eric Thomas and Associates LLC, and the president of the company, CJ. As CEO of his consulting firm, Reempower LLC, Pierre is expanding his reach from schools, youth programs, and companies in Arizona to all around the world. Pierre lives by this quote: "When you study what the successful do, and then you do what you study, you will be successful." Wow, man. That's quite the intro, brother.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Because every time I hear, when you do what the success, when you study what the successful do, and then you do what you study, you will be successful.
Yeah.
Every time I hear that, it's to me, like I say this to myself every day. You know what I mean? Just to be that refresher, just to remind myself, because most people get so caught up in the studying, like just study them and study them and study them. Number one, you're messing up because you're studying where they are and you don't even understand that. That's like so far from your language, right? So I learned to come down to where in their career was they where I am, a level above that, because that's what I want to study. That's what I need to know. I'm not ready for where they are. I want to know what was it like back here. And then not only do I just want to know it, now I want to study it more. And then I want to do it. Most of you, when you find out what it really takes, you're done. Like you studied it, but you don't want to do it, right? I want to study it, and then I want to do it, because if you don't do it, you don't get the results. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear it, man, it just refreshes it with me. So I say it to myself every day. It's one of my affirmations. You know what I'm saying? Like, I make sure I dig it deep. Yeah.
No, that's deep, man. I think of that a lot, to be honest. I feel like a lot of people, they just look at the sunshine and rainbows, but like what you were saying, they don't actually look at the process of where they're at in their life. Like a lot of people, they look at Michael Jordan and LeBron James, and it's like, oh man, you look at them at their pinnacle. Like you got to go back down to where they were at their roots. And then absolutely, bro. And I totally agree with that, man. So sort of, go about, I guess, your journey, sort of tell us a little bit about where Pierre Evans is from. And I mean, I know I've heard your story a couple times, but for the audience and the viewers, like, man, tell them really where you come from and sort of, where you got to where you're at today.
Yeah. So I come from Providence, Rhode Island, right? And when we hear Providence, Rhode Island, it's, like that little speck, the little speck on the map, like nothing really happens. Listen, man, Providence isn't the worst place in the world, right? I promise. Like everybody knows it's not. But it's not the best place either. So I wasn't fortunate enough to be on the outskirts and enjoy what Rhode Island has to offer. I was in Providence trying to make a place, trying to make a name for myself. And, growing up in the city, it's like any other projects. You got fights, you got stabbings, you got guns going off, you got drug dealing, you got drug abuse, right? Like everywhere else. I just happened not to step away from it, and I stepped into it. And I say I stepped into it because we all have options. We all have, choices that we make in our life. So I don't blame it on my environment. But it was there for me to step into, and I decided to step into it. And I sold my first bag of weed at 10 years old. I look at it as it was probably it was my first experience with sales. And I remember the way I closed the guy like it was yesterday. I can see it. He was coming up the street, and I said, "You looking?" I said, like that. I gave him a little weed signal, right? And he was like, "Yeah, kid." And I was like, I know. I was like, "Man, I got 2 bags of weed left. If you just take these 2, I can get out of here. I just want to eat." And he looked at me like he really didn't want to do it. And I was just like, "Man, if I don't sell these, I got to stay out and wait for the next person." And dude was like, "Man, I'm going to take these 2 from you. Like, get out of here. Don't come back." And he bought the 2 bags of weed, 2 dime bags for $20, right? So I was like, "Yeah, I made 20, like the line worked." In my pocket, I had like another 3 bags. I'm like, "Yo, I'm about to use it again." And that became the tagline. That became the pitch, but that was the first thing to sales. And I realized that, looking back, I was emotional about what I was doing. Like the passion that I had when I said, "Man, I just want to eat." He didn't buy the weed because he wanted the weed. He bought the weed because I sold him on the story, right? I sold him on the vision. I sold him on the passion. So I realized that I used it in the wrong way, but what happens if I use it right? And I sell people on the vision that I have. That's a wonderful vision. And I sell them on the passion that I have for the vision. Now I can go from being this guy to being the guy that's leading people to bring them somewhere better, right? So I'm going through this whole motion, and I wish I got that in the beginning stages, right? But I wasn't thinking that way until later on in life. But from there, it just showed me, Pierre, you can get money by being out here on the streets. And it became just a way of getting money, extra money. And over the years, I got so deep into it that it became a way of life. And most of us, that's what happens. We start off in something, and it's fun, it's entertaining, and before we know it, we done missed the boat, right? And we feel stuck in what we're doing. And I felt stuck to the point where it kept me in that world till I was 29 years old. It kept me in that world even after being shot at. It kept me in that world after almost going to jail like many times. It kept me, after almost being murdered many times. So there was nothing that could pull me away from where I was other than myself. But I was blaming everybody, and I kept blaming and blaming in the blame game. And the blame game only allowed me to get deeper into the problem. And I finally got to a point in life, man, where I just said, you know what? I have to stop digging. But to stop digging is painful, right? Because you're either going up or you're going backwards. There's no in between. So when you stop digging, it creates a pain because now you got to do things that forces growth. And I'm saying this because I want you to understand this. Like when I talk about the book, like they counted me out, and I put 15 lessons in the book that helped me to, change my life that I use. I didn't just make these things up. Like I used it. So when I say I stopped digging, that means I got completely uncomfortable. I got uncomfortable. I said, no more can I keep going down. I have to go up. And up is where the problem was. Down, it was a problem that I couldn't see. Down just kept saying I kept getting worse and worse in my life, but it was easier to go down, right? Going up was hard. So when I say being uncomfortable, I had to face the fact, Pierre, you're homeless. Pierre, you're a high school dropout. Pierre, you're broke. You're broke. Pierre, you can't read. You can't write. I had to face all of these things to go up. And this is where most people stop. And I'm just telling you, like, yo, don't stop. And now, I'm able to be on, this podcast, another podcast, and travel all over and talk. And people see that part of it, but people don't want to see the 15 lessons. People don't want to deal with the 15 lessons and where that comes from. I want you to understand that in order for me, I ain't even talking to you right now. I promise you, I love you. Like you want more, but I'm reinforcing this with me right now. It might sound selfish, but by me reinforcing it with me, like you get to get what I'm really saying. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, yo, keep building on the lessons. Keep going through the pain. Keep taking everything that is coming your way and keep facing it head on. So that's what helped me to get from, the kid that sold, his first bag of weed at 10 to, being where I am now. And it allowed me to put the people in my life. And I remember like, my wife said, you stop what you're doing or me and your son is gone. Like you stop what you're doing or we're gone. And at that point, it wasn't a question. You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing I had to ask myself. It wasn't, there was no gray area. It was, okay, cool. So what is it in your life that will stop you from even second guessing and even questioning what you want to do, and then that's what you base your decisions on.
Man, that's deep. That's really good. So let me ask you this: what if somebody, they're going through life, right? And they're working a job, they're working like a corporate job, and they're doing it just to get by. They're doing it just to pay the bills, and obviously, they got a family too, of course. What would you recommend to somebody that doesn't quite know what they want to do? Because I talk to a lot of people. I know you do as well, Pierre. You speak about this a lot. What is that one thing, or maybe it's a couple, maybe it's several things that you would recommend them, like action steps to give somebody to actually find that thing that they need to do to become passionate about it? Because with you being a speaker, with you being an author, I mean, I'm sure you being 10 years old selling weed. I mean, you probably never would have thought that you'd have a book. You probably never would have thought you would have had a mentor like Eric Thomas or any of that going your way, right? So what would be some of the steps that you could give somebody? You know what I mean?
For sure. Listen, I'm 41, man. I didn't think I would seem 21. So, I look at life differently. If number one, man, if you're working a job, it's not like, listen, everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's not meant to, to be a warrior, right? Everyone's not meant to be a warrior. Some of us are meant to be soldiers. And I want to clear that up. When I say a soldier follows direction. A soldier is, right? Like they know what to do when you tell them what to do. That's a soldier. The warrior is the one that takes the risk. The warrior is the one that's so courageous that the soldier wants to follow, because the soldier don't take orders from the weak. The soldier take orders from the warrior, and everyone can't be the warrior. You can't be the head one in charge. So you might not be ready to be the warrior and be the entrepreneur and have your soldiers following you. You might just like, you know what? I'm ready to be a soldier, but I'm ready to be like on the borderline of soldier warrior, right? Where I want this, but I don't want all it takes. I'm just going to be a soldier and I'm going to follow rules. Then you stay in your workplace, and you go to your workplace for more than just to check. You go to your workplace to develop. You go to your workplace to grow. You go to your workplace to feel your strength, to make your strength stronger. Don't worry about the weaknesses. We want to make your strength stronger. See, a warrior isn't strong everywhere. The warrior understands, I'm strong with leadership. I'm strong with putting myself out there first. I'm strong with, I don't care if something happens. I don't care if I get pain, because mentally I can take whatever. I'm going to protect my soldiers from all the pain. So in their eyes, I'm a heck of a warrior. So you think you have to know everything, and you don't. It's okay. Like, master what you do. Stay at your job if you want to, right? Nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. But if you're thinking about taking the leap, this is where it gets iffy. If you're thinking about taking the leap, I want you to just take understand there's 168 hours in a week. I want you to write down everything that you do. Everything that you do, and put a time next to it. You sleep for 8 hours a night. You go to the gym. You got family time. How much time you spend in the bathroom? How much time you spend eating? How much time you spend on the phone? Your personal time. I want you to write all of these things down, and I want you to see how much time you have left over out of your 168 hours. Most people have about 20. Let's just say you're special and you got 15. I want you to take your 15 hours, and I want you to put that 15 hours every week into what you think it is you want to do. If you find that 15 hours fills a void in you, if you find that in that 15 hours, this is a place you want to spend your life, I want you to take all the free time you have. If you work Monday through Monday, I want you to take that and execute Saturday and Sunday on that vision that you have right now. And I want you to get to the point where your vision overpowers your 9 to 5 job. The income you're making on your vision exceeds, right? Matches your 9 to 5 job. And when you get to that point, by then you're going to be like, yup, I like this. Because believe me, before you make a dime, you're going to go through pain. You're going to go through a lot of pain. And if you're not doing something you love to do, you're going to run in the opposite direction, because nobody wants to take pain and get no reward. See, I take the pain it takes to travel and speak and be away from the family and have the late nights. Why? Because I know that on the other side of my pain is the reward that I want. And I'm willing to go through it. Before I ever got a check to speak, I said, I'm going to go at it. So put your extra time, every extra time you have, put it in there. When you find yourself, you're trying to find more time and more time. And you're like, man, I was doing 2 hours of TV. I'm doing no TV now. I was on the phone. I'm not doing no phone now. I'm putting every bit of time I have into this business, into my vision, the thing that was a hobby, but I'm making money now, so it's not a hobby anymore. It's a side gig. It's not a side gig anymore. It's my main gig, and your old thing is just something of the past. Or you're gonna find out, say, you know what? I love working for someone, knowing that when I come home, my job is done. And you're gonna say, but where I'm at, I really don't like. Go find you somewhere new. Master everything you can where you are, and then go find someone new, and they're gonna pay you more. But let's just break this thing down to the ridiculous. Use the time you have. People say, I want to do this and want to do that, but if you say, how much free time you got a week? They're like, as soon as they hit you with the you know they don't know. When someone says, yep, I want something, you're like, how many hours in a day? How many hours in a week? That's too much, right? When you hit me with the then you don't know. So all I'm saying, and people, get off of this. Like, we got to make money. I'm not telling you don't make money. We got to make money. But before you make money, you got to go through pain. You got to go through the pain before you make the money. So be ready for the pain. And if you say $100,000 is my number, and I'm using that number because that's what most people say, I want to make $100,000. I want a six-figure income. And you be like, how much you got to make every day? Like, listen, $278 a day. You got to make $278 a day if you want to make $100,000 a year. So that means your actions need to equal up to at least $278 a day. If you don't know what the number is, how you gonna hit it? Right? So just maximize the time you have. Focus on what are your controllables, and then you work on your controllables. If you want something new out of life, work only on your controllables. The uncontrollables, don't give your attention to. People say, man, it was only 10 minutes of my time. No, it wasn't. If someone calls me and I answer the call during work hours and it's 10 minutes, I have to answer the phone. I'm talking for 10 minutes. Then I got to get that bull crap out of my head for another 15, 20 minutes. Then I got to take another 30 minutes to get focused back on what I was doing. 10 minutes equals almost an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like almost an hour. So just start looking at what you do differently. Start valuing your time more, and just execute. Execute. Understand what your end mission is. Write it down, at the end of, 36 months. This is where I want to be at. This is what I want life to look at. And then every decision that you make, you base it on that end result. Don't make a decision based how you currently feel. How you currently feel is just a moment. It's a moment of depression. It's a moment of confusion. It's a moment of madness. It's a moment of confession. It's a moment of sadness. But the end result, it never moves, right? I want that. And I'm pointing to this because that's my whiteboard right there. So I'm saying that's what I want. I don't want to put my vision in you, but I'm telling you that's what I want. See, I'm looking, I see it. And I know that everything I do every day, even doing this podcast, somebody's going to see this. This is going to lead to something. This is exercise for me. This is a moment for me to share with you. This is a moment for me to, get it back into myself. And I'm telling you, like, there's a reason for everything that I do every second of the day. So if you're talking about leaving your job, you better know what you're doing with your time. Ain't no time to leave and then say, I don't know if I did the right thing. You should have did that before. So let's maximize the time we do have.
Wow, absolutely. Do you think, there'd be quote unquote more successful people in the world if people actually knew how to break down their time? Like, what you were just saying about the hours in a week. And I mean, I know you got that one saying, I forget, how's it go? There's how many seconds in a day?
86,400 seconds, baby.
Yeah. There we go. So it's like, if people actually knew and actually broke it down and had like that blueprint, do you think that there'd be, more people that would actually be killing it,
I think, again, right, we got to be careful with, have success. Right. Because success is different for everybody. Some people who's happy. You look in a third world country, they ain't got no bread. You know what I'm saying? Like, they ain't got no bread, but they're happier than a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? They're happier than a lot of people here. So I believe more, I know more people will reach the destination that they want, whatever they consider to be their success or their end result, if they paid attention to their time. But it's like if I said, I was talking to an old lady, man. I don't want to call her old lady, right? One of my wife's aunts, and she said, her mom was saving $2 a day or $2 a week or something for all her life since a little girl, and it allowed her to live a certain way in her retirement. It paid for her. She didn't go to one of the little nasty, places where people do assisted living. She had a nice place, but this is because of her habits of saving $2 a day or $1 a day, something throughout her life, right? And it added up. But if you say to somebody, just save $200 a month for the next 30 years, people looking at $200, they're only seeing $200 and then $400. They're like, in 3 months, I got $600. That's no money. Well, listen, $200 a day for over the course of 30 years at, I don't know, like 8%, 9%. No, the market, I think over 30 years is like 12%, 10 or 12. That's 1 point something million for $200 a day. And you looking at the $200 a month, you're looking at $200 a month, like that's no bread. You're gonna reach 30 years from now, be 60 years old and have no bread. Put up to $200 a month and get the. So what I'm telling you is every day you're going to put in blood, sweat, and tears. You're going to grind every day. You got $86,400 that you wake up with every day, and it replaces itself. So what I'm saying to you is pay attention to every second of it, and with every second, put knowledge in it. Let your knowledge go up every day as your time goes down, and then tomorrow your money resets. Your knowledge stays where it is, and then your knowledge goes up and your time goes down. But what a lot of you are doing is you're putting no knowledge and the time's going down. You're building your life on stupidity. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, listen, you don't have to be a genius, but you're building your life on stupidity because if you do what you did today, tomorrow, and the day after, it brings the same results. So why would you continue to do that? So every day I was going to the block and I was hustling on the block and I was doing nothing. Did I have money in my pocket? Yep. Could I eat? Yep. But my knowledge wasn't going up. I got to a point where I maxed out in the game. There was no more for me to learn. Nothing else. And what did I do? I got out of the environment and I got on the information. And every day I reset this. So you got to take your $86,400 and you got to invest every second, every day, pay attention to it. Don't listen, if you tell people, don't answer your phone. Don't answer your phone during the hours of 8 to 8. Don't answer. Stay off your phone, 8 to 5. Don't answer, like no phone calls. Don't let it ring and then they call you back and you answer. And that tells everybody on the second time you call, they're going to answer. Don't answer. See, I believe in what I'm doing so much and I'm so driven by what I'm doing that certain times of the day, I don't answer my phone. I got ringtones for certain people. If you're in my coaching community, I got a ringtone for you. I know when it's you. If you're my mentor, you're my coach, you call me, there's a reason you call me. You ain't calling me to waste my time. A lot of you taking phone calls. If you got to pick up the phone and you look and you see the number, you're like, oh, what they want? And you still answer, you the biggest dummy. Like, I'm just going to call it what it is, right? Because you know what it's going to do with you. So I believe that if you truly understand what you want and you're locked into the mission that you say you want, you will do better with your time. And if you do better with your time, your results will be better. It's as simple as that. It's not rocket science.
Wow. It's funny you mentioned the phone thing. I know a lot of people, they're glued to their phone. It's like their phone is, there's a picture online. It like has their phone here and it's like glue is stuck to their wrist, And it's crazy because people are always on their phone. And I had this conversation a lot. I literally had this conversation a few days ago with a buddy of mine. I'm like, man, put down your phone. Like, we're chilling right now. We're just trying to get some quality time, trying to talk about life, shoot the breeze a little bit. But you're over here scrolling through social media, just doing your thing. I'm thinking, you do that all the time. Like, put it down. And to your point, a lot of people, they're just so caught up with what they're doing. And if the phone, I don't know, they call these things smartphones, but realistically, the way I look at it, it's a dumb phone if it ain't making you money. Like, straight up, if you ain't making a living, if you ain't making something with this thing, I'm telling you, man, it's a dumb phone. So I totally rock with that for sure. And one thing that you were talking about that you didn't quite necessarily do at a young age was sharpen the mind, right? And now with you being an author, with you having your own book, and of course, personal development, I know that's something huge for both of us. And I know that's one of the biggest things that you talk about. Just had that masterclass there in Houston, Texas and whatnot. So how important in your life was personal development for one? And then two, let's say somebody in life, they've heard of the whole personal development frenzy, but they just don't know where to start. Would you have maybe a recommendation to give them, or maybe where should they start? Where did you start?
Yeah, so I started again, right? I got to go back to one of the lessons, increase your value. And I started a long time ago becoming an expert in my environment. The crazy thing is I didn't know it. I didn't know that that's what I was doing. So when I was in the projects and I'm watching the dudes older than me, and I'm watching them back in the 80s when crack came out, and I'm watching them sell crack, right? I'm watching them like be in the projects. I'm watching them hustle. I'm watching them buy new cars. I'm watching them, dress fly and have big knots of money in their pocket. I'm watching this. I used to go to the store and I would have $10 and I would go get all ones. And so I can have me a big knot. I was in training. And I didn't even know I was in training. I'm learning from the people that was above me. So I'm studying and I'm becoming a master in the craft of hustling. I'm mastering the craft of being on the streets. You, meaning you, whoever you are and what you're doing, if you watch TV all day, you are a master at that. If somebody's talking to you about this show, you know every show that comes on. You know the plot, you know the people. You're a master at all the artists. You're a master at all the stats. You are already mastering something. But you're mastering something that you grew up learning, so it seems easy, but it's not easy. It's hard to somebody who doesn't come from that, and you throw them in that environment. They're sitting there lost, like, what happened? Like, if you're talking some brain science or something, right? So they don't understand what it is that you're doing, and you don't understand what they're doing, and they're looking at what you're doing like, that don't add no value to me. You're looking at what they're like, I ain't doing what, that's too much work. So you just have to pick what you want to do and give it the attention that you gave what you're already a master in, right? So just like, you got to like think about that for, like, there's something that you do so well. There's something you know so much about that we can jump in any conversation and you can take me on an hour or 2 hour talk and just telling me about it. So you got to identify what it is you want and say, you know what, where I am right now is not good enough for what I want. I'm taking this because I already know it and it's easy. But I don't want what's easy anymore. I want what's going to be beneficial. I'm tired of paycheck to paycheck. I'm tired of, my kids can't have the best. I'm tired of, I got to be in an environment where they're selling drugs outside my house. Gunshots just came through my neighbor's house. I'm tired of doing this. When I'm sitting here right now and I'm looking, where I ain't heard no gunshot. Only time I hear gunshots, me and my kids, when we go to shooting range. Like, I don't even got a liquor store. I can drive to my house any direction, miles. I don't see a liquor store. You go to the grocery store, get your liquor. You go to the hood, you're in the liquor store. These are the things that I paid no attention to. I never knew there wasn't a liquor store on every corner because I grew up in the hood. So I was an expert at the hood environment. I had to learn a new environment. You think I wasn't uncomfortable? You think I didn't feel like I was a dummy with a G? I didn't even have a GED at the time? You think I didn't feel uneducated with a bunch of high school grads? Come to find out, most of these people ain't even college grads themselves. They just worked at what they wanted. So when I look at it and I'm like, yo, you have to develop what you want, right? So identify what you want, develop the actions to go get it, where every day you look at it. I sit right here and I look. I'm not lying to you. I promise you. Every day I look, I'm like, yep, between now, 12 months, that's where it's going to be at right there. And I look at and I make the decisions on that. And I say, Pierre, what do you have to do? Yep, you got to do this. You got to, every day. Every day. I got things I do every daggone day. And then on top of that, I got the extra stuff that comes in, but I only worry about the controllables. See, personally, what happened was when I identified what I wanted in my life and I got to it the first time, most of y'all say, I want a car, I want a house. Great, no problem. But I want you to think about, what did you have to do to get that car? What did you have to do to save up your $2,500, your $3,000, some of y'all your $500 to go get it? You had to sacrifice. You had to bring the little bag to lunch. You had to maybe go get a second job. As soon as you get what you want, the second job's done, the grind's over, and you wondering why nothing else is coming. Because personally, you ain't developed. Exterior, you was worried about how people was gonna feel about you. Man, if they see me driving this, when I come through in this, so what? You, after 3 months of paying it, you tired of it anyway. It's like any other car. Get you point A to point B, right? So when you get the house, you walk through the door, you're like, ooh. Like, I come through the door of the crib and I look around, I pay no mind. I'm like, okay, it's normal. We've been here like 4 years. People come in and they're like, oh my God, a beautiful home. And that wakes me up, and I got to go back outside and look at it and walk back through the door through a different lens, because I start to walk through it in a selfish sense. Like, oh, and I take it for granted. This ain't for granted. I worked for this. I was in a project. My daughter hoverboard around the house now. My son got his own game room and a bedroom that you see him. My son up in here with 2 rooms. And I'm not bragging about it. But I'm telling you how personally it makes me feel. When I see my son, yep, can do that. When I see my daughter can, I'm like, yep, Pierre, keep going. What's next for him? What's next for him, Pierre? What you gonna do next? And they help me to develop to be a better person because I want to see them do better. And when they see me doing more, it makes them want to do more. See, because if I just grind and I grind and I grind and I get to a destination, I'm not going to be able to stay at the destination because I took this dirty old me who was selling butter at 10 years old and I put him in a new environment. That don't make you special. No, create the new you and get into a new environment, right? Take the old you and you create the new you and you put you in a new environment. So you got to stop focusing on just building your business. Stop focusing on just, getting the material things. Focus on the things that are going to help keep you there because that's what matters. You see so many people, man, they make it. I'm looking at Jim Jones, man. He just got caught with 2 burners in the car, some pills. I'm looking at dudes on tour buses getting caught with all these pills and all this weed and guns. Like, yo, you telling me that you really got out of this environment, people writing you checks, your bank account, you seeing 7, 8, 9, 12 zeros in your joint with some numbers, and you telling me you still got a banger? I'm going to hire somebody. Like, yo, you carry the banger. I made enough money. I'm going to hide behind the desk, bro. I don't need to be tough. You see, and it be tripping me out. Everybody want to try to be tough. All I need you to do is know where you came from, know where you're going, and I want you to hug the journey, right? We all have the same final destination, and that's death. Our journey is what separates us. Our journey is what gives us different lives. If we all had the same journey and handled everything the same way, we would all be in the same place. But some of us, we know how to talk tough. But when it's time to happen, like we give up on that journey and create new journeys. Stop journey jumping, hug your journey, and get to where you want. I'm telling you, man, life will be a lot easier when you build you from the inside and you let that flow out your pores versus trying to build from the outside and inside is filthy as heck.
Man, that's deep, bro, for real. I mean, it's all about having that willpower and that why, at the end of the day, because a lot of people, they don't have that why. They don't even know when you ask them, it's like they have the moment. They just don't know, and just to sort of piggyback off what you were saying, it's just crazy, man, because with me being, I'm 21 years old, I ask people a lot all the time, and I mean, I've been thankful and grateful ever since I was 16, 17 years old to get surrounded around the right people like yourself, and it's just insane seeing people. I call them like walking zombies. They go about life not knowing what they want to do, and especially around my age, it's like they got a lot of partiers and people that are into drinking, smoking, and I mean, I'm not criticizing people that do that, but it's crazy because they don't know what they want, and then you ask them, and I'm going to school. Cool, you going because you want to go or because your yeah, my parents sent me through. Gotcha. So what do you want to do? And they're just like, oh, I don't even want to do what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about it. So with school sort of being in mind, I know you obviously do work with some schools and things, and you're expanding more and more. Let me ask you this, and I'm curious to hear what your opinion is on it. If you could change one thing, and there's a lot of things that I'm sure you can think of because I can think of so many. If you could change one thing with our current school system, speaking of K through 12, what would that one thing be that you could change in the school system?
Yeah, for me, man, and as the kid that struggled in school, I have to look back to where teachers really didn't have a love for their job after a few years of being in it, and it showed. You just want to push them through, and no teacher wants to take the time to learn the students. So I have too many students. You picked this job, you knew what it was about, right? So I would love to see teachers more engaged and hold on to the love that they have for the job. And if you fall out of love with it, it's like if you fall out of love with your marriage, you don't, what I'm saying, you try at a certain point, you break, you go separate ways, right? So you don't hurt each other. You don't hurt the kids. So if you don't love it anymore, it's not like you're making all the money in the world. Go your separate way. Go find something else to do. Because when I had that teacher that stepped in my life and truly had love for Pierre, when Pierre didn't have the love for himself, and she said, okay, Pierre, this is what I want to do for you. And she started to understand me. She started to understand what I like. And she started to let me do what I like and do projects on what I like. But I had to do work for her. I had to do what she needed me to do, and she would help me do what I needed to do. And I was doing it, and everything was working great. And I started to open up to her. And that made a huge difference in my life from an educational standpoint. And I wish I would have stayed in that school and stayed with her for the end, because it would have helped when I came in one day and said I wanted to drop out of school. So for me, school, man, I would just love to see teachers really fall in love with it. And if you don't like it, if you want more money and if the money's not enough for you, go find something new to do. But these kids need you. These kids are depending on you. These kids are looking for your structure. They're looking for your discipline. And they're looking to be loved at the same time. But when we keep letting them down time after time after time, that's why I don't like going to schools. If they want me to come in one time, it's like, yo, what's one time? I can't. I'm like everybody else now. I'm here today and I'm going tomorrow. It has to be uniform. It has to be a system. So for me, man, that's my biggest thing. I would love to see the teachers more engaged. And then number two, I would love to see, I'm all for the general studies, and we have to do it. There's things we have to learn. But when they took, the trades away, every kid learns different. We don't all learn the same way. Somebody wants to work with their hands and they're going to be more engaged. Somebody wants to work with their mind, they're going to be more engaged. Like when we took that away, when we took the trade away, what we did was we said, you're going to learn this way, and this is the only way. And no one person learns like everyone else, right? We're different people. So I just think we just need more options within the school systems. We have to get it to where you can lock into a trade. I was in one school in Rhode Island, man, and they have a trade program, and they do welding, they do mechanic work, they do electric work, and then with local companies, long as these kids have great attendance, long as it don't even really matter the grade, right? And I'm not saying don't go and slack off, but some of them really struggle. But if their attendance is right, they're mastering their craft as far as their trade, man, they're leaving there getting welding jobs at $20-something an hour. They're leaving getting electrician jobs at $20+ an hour, just starting off. Like everybody is not built the same way. So I just would love to see more of that and cater more towards the kids and not towards what's going to put more money into the school that the kids don't get anyway. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of my big things. When your superintendents, man, is $250,000 a year and your teachers are getting pennies, and then you expect them to give all the love to the teachers, right? The teachers are not, teachers don't, and I would love to see students value the teachers more, because the teachers that do love what they do don't get paid enough to be there. So they're not there for the pay. They're there because they love to do it. But sometimes it's hard dealing with the knucklehead kids. Like if you had me in your class, I know what you went through, and you don't want one of me, never mind, 5 of me in your classroom. But when you make it easier for your teacher and you're doing the work and she's not coming in and she can't get you to do a homework assignment, that doesn't help her. That doesn't help him any. So as a student, you have to be ready to receive what your teacher is willing to give. And as a teacher, you got to be willing to give in a way your student has no choice but to receive it. And it's a yin and yang, and that's why my biggest thing is bridging the gaps between students and teachers. And when you bridge that gap, like even in the book, man, the last few chapters of the book is geared towards teachers and helping teachers to relate to the students. And I put it in the same book, so when the students read it, the students can identify when the teachers are doing their part in it. And the students can identify, and the teachers can identify when the students are doing their part. Bridge the gap. Stop. The information don't need to be separate, right? It don't need to be separate. There's one section here, and I talk about I had a book report. And when the teacher takes time to learn the music you listen to or learn the athletes you love and let you write on what you love, and she go home and learn it or comes back and they're reciting some of the rap music, right? Without the swear words. We don't need the swear words in the classroom. But when they're reciting some of it, kids are like, ooh, and now that teacher's cool. You lower the wall. You lower this barrier you have between the two of you, and you'll notice students start to open up. But when you come from two different worlds and you expect that student to respect you, and you ain't never had to walk through these streets like that student. Your cousin didn't get murdered. You ain't get shot before. You ain't been shot at, but you want them to understand you, but you don't take time to understand them. It's backwards, right? So to bridge that gap, man, I really love to see more bridging the gaps between students and teachers.
No, absolutely. I look at whenever I went through, especially high school, one of the biggest one of the biggest things for me was I just felt like the teachers just weren't passionate. It's because that, that the gap wasn't filled, right? What you were just saying. And that's whenever I first started to get into personal development, right? I saw Eric Thomas's first video at the age of 16. I was really big into sports. I needed that motivation and everything like that. And it really clicked with me then. And then every time I was in class, we used to just sort of, there's days where you didn't do anything at all. And I looked up his videos in class and people looked at me weird because you see this guy like giving some speech with a green screen in the background, right? And people were looking at me, hey, what's this kid doing? I literally heard people comment, man, this guy's weird. Man. I don't know what's he got going on. And it's funny because fast forward now, they come up to me and they're like, Nate, man, I appreciate you so much for what you do. I'm thinking, nah, get out of here, But I guess what I'm trying to say is like, is there an age? Because we both can agree the school system isn't, of course, what it should be because that gap isn't filled. So is there an age in our lives, because mine was 16, but maybe it can be earlier. Is there an age where a student is in school and they might not be getting the education as what they should be, or they want that extra push of motivation, right? What we call personal development a lot of the time. Is there an age that you could classify, where they can do so, or maybe there isn't. Maybe it's unique to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, man, a lot of it really comes into just your surroundings in general. If you have a supporting cast around you who does something, who introduces you to something, right? Some of us can do it on our own, like we're just looking, be a better student, or we're Googling some things now, right? Because there's Google in the world, and you come across something. You come across a Eric Thomas, a Tony Robbins, Inky Johnson, right? You come across these people, maybe a Pierre Evans, I don't know, right? I just thought that. You come across these people and you're like, oh, I like this, that, hey, and then you start watching. Or, your uncle comes by, or your brother, your pops or your mom, somebody's in there and they're watching something. And you're like, what's that? And you're like, oh, you could be 5 and you could be hooked from that moment on. And now you start to think different. This is why it's important. Like, you got to watch who you got your kids around. Because whatever they watching, like your kids are a sponge and they can bring them in. You got to pay attention to, what environment you got, the people that you can control. Control your environment of those who you can. So there's really no age limit, man, on when you get started wanting more. Sometimes we see stuff, man, and we're like I remember when I see my first dope feed. I'm like, oh, I'll never do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're sitting up and their head hits between their knees. Like, I'm like, I didn't know people could bend that far. You know what I'm saying? This is before I seen yoga. I'm like, I ain't know nobody could do that. Like, I think yoga was created from the dope feeds, right? Like, so I'm looking at it and I'm like, I never want to do that. I'm looking at crackheads with their teeth out and they stink. Like, I never want to smoke that. So sometimes we see things and we're like, I don't ever want to do that. I want to do the opposite of it. But then we got times, man, where we see something and we're like, man, I like that. I want to do that. That's what I want to do right there. And you start to listen to it and you listen to it and it becomes a part of you. And that's what I'm saying. What are we doing with our time? Make what you want become a part of you. Do like I watch, like, listen, I got the laptop here, I got the computer, I got the books over here. I'm reading. I got myself now in an environment, man, where I got books. Like this book right here. Like, hold on, like you see it, right? One, like this book, special edition, it can't even be sold. It's not even on the market yet. But I was able to sit down with my man because he's out here. I put myself in the right environment and boom. I never heard of the dude before that. But now I sat down with him. He's like, yeah, the book's not out yet. We can't even sell it, but I can give it to you. Put yourself in environments where you get what you want. You know what I'm saying? But you got to know what you want first. So do I think there's an age limit on success, whatever you consider? Nope. Is there an age limit on, where you start to get motivated, where you start to follow the path of what you want in your life? Nope. There's no age limit on it, man. It's just, when are you introduced to it? Or when do you stumble over it? But this is the thing. See, most of us, we don't stumble over it until later, only because we didn't know what we wanted. When you know what you wanted, that same thing been in front of you. Like, you've been seeing the same Honda Accords outside but you went and bought one. Now you see it everywhere. Same daggone car been around. It ain't changed. So when you start to identify, like, I want to be a speaker. You know how many speakers started to stumble in my life when I identified that? Man, I want to be in the car business. You know how many the people in the car business I started to be around? So when you identify it as you get older, your mind knows you're looking for it. So your mind starts to let you know, bruh, it's been here. Look, pay attention right there, right there, right there. But then you physically have to do something about it. So no age limits, man. None.
Mm. No, that's deep. You know, I met an individual about a couple of weeks ago. She was about 30 years old, and she's never been introduced to, you know, a self-help book in her life. She's never read really a personal development book ever, and she's never listened to like audios or watched motivational videos. And what you just said there, you know, I'm glad you hit on that, because I think about that a lot. You know, is there ever a certain age? And you're right, there's not, right? It's all about when somebody is introduced to the whole concept of it, right? I mean, with the events that you have, somebody might get invited. They've never heard anything like it before, like personal development. What's that? Is that something with health, or what's going on here? You know, like they think about, like, I gotta go to the doctor. Is there gonna be a doctor at this or something? You know, and it's crazy because it's definitely a concept that I feel people definitely, they should know more of. Golly, if there was a class for that, like a personal development like class I was in schools, I mean, I don't think, I'm not saying that there never will be, but it's going to take a doggone long time for there to be, right? And
Yeah.
I just think it's incredible seeing somebody like you just out there, you know, doing these events, right? Obviously, being an author, having a book like you do, and just being connected and surrounding yourself around the right environment, like you said, filling those gaps you didn't have early on. I just think it's amazing seeing somebody, you know, like yourself, Pierre, really just out there doing it and empowering, you know, what we call our babies growing up. You know, I mean, some people, I mean, they call me a baby. I'm 21 years old, right? And it's like, it's incredible, man. And I got a lot of respect for you, brother. I really do.
You know, man, I appreciate that. And you know, we really, man, you know, we're trying to do things that we haven't lived just because we don't put value on what we did live. So we try to live somebody else's. And, you know, as a speaker, man, I would say to people, man, you know, they're like, what do you do? I'm a motivational speaker. When people say to me, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm like, yo, you're confused. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're confused. Motivational speaker, that could be so many things. And I got tired of people saying, well, motivational speaker, what, like, about what? You know, about what's this? And everyone has it. And I'm like, yo, listen, no, personal development. Personal development, not just personal development, but masterclass. I was homeless, high school dropout, 7th, 8th grade reading level. I'm an author now, right? I was hustling in the streets. The street life is all I knew. I didn't know anything else. When I left, I had no job. I started some businesses, but I had no job. I didn't know how to do the business. All I knew is I do a service, you give me some money. I didn't understand no back of it, no back end. I didn't understand nothing of none of it. But what I knew is I wanted better for myself, and I had to keep creating a better me to understand things better. I didn't have to understand it the way you wanted me to understand it. I had to understand it the way it made sense to me. And my wife used to say it to me for a long time, like, yo, why do you relate everything to the game? Why is everything, when you talk about something, you relate it to the streets? That's how I understand it. And most people want to leave that out because I don't want people to know I did that, or I don't want, like, listen, I'm not worried about what you think of me. When I come home at the end of the night, I'm worried about how my son look at me, how my daughter look at me. Like, that's what I'm worried. I'm not worried about nobody else. I learned things, and I've been through things in my life, and the things that I've been through were there to shape me into who I am right now. It was meant for me to get these lessons, and I believe that people try to leave a hood environment or a bad environment, and then they want to forget it. Like, get it out their head. Don't think about it anymore. Move on. That's great for some of you, but for me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, what lesson did I miss through this problem I went through? I'm looking at it for the lesson. I'm not looking at it because I'm getting down, I'm depressed. You know, my cousin was murdered. My man kidnapped and murdered. Like, I'm not getting down about it. What was the lesson that came from these things? And when I started to look at the lessons and master the lessons, I took the 15 top and threw them in the book. And now these are the things that help me to shape my life to where now I can help others change their life. So don't get rid of your bad times. I want you to look at your bad times, figure out how you got out of them, and how can you use that to help you move forward in life and help somebody get beyond where they are. And then that's when you'll find the mastery to this whole thing called life.
The master of life. I love it, man. So, hey, I mean, you obviously dropped plenty of gems. I might have to. I might release this with a paid Zoom. This might be the first one ever. No, I'm kidding.
Hold on, I'm gonna send you the contract, Nate. I'm gonna send you the contract.
All right, bet. But yeah, man, you dropped amazing amounts of knowledge, to say the least. First, I mean, where you have social media, where can the audience follow you? You got a website and everything. Where can they get the book?
Oh yeah, pierreevans.com. The book's there. Instagram, Pierre Pierre 5QL on Instagram. And then Facebook is just Pierre Evans. But Pierre Evans, Google fifth quarter living and it will all pop up. Let's keep it simple. Google fifth quarter living and it all pops up, man. So there's a couple phonies out there, but fifth quarter living, 5QL, that's me. You get it.
Heck yeah. Yeah, fifth quarter living. There we go. Perfect. And then in terms of, man, what you got any events coming up? I know you just got back from a long road trip and everything, going to Houston, Chicago, North Carolina, Atlanta. I mean, you're all over the place in the United States. So, man, do you have any more events coming up or anything planned or in the works?
Right now, man, I'll be in Ohio on August 7th, 6th, 7th. I got an event on August 7th in Ohio. That's the next one. I got a corporate joint in Ohio on the 6th. And then Orlando, man, September 15th, I'll be in Orlando. Personal Development Masterclass Tour will kick off again in Orlando. Listen, man, I'm telling you, hey, if you ain't been nowhere else, if you can't get nowhere else, this September 15th, September 15th in Orlando, I promise you, man, it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic, man. You're going to really learn this soldier versus the warrior. Like I'm going to lose my voice on this one. Yeah, I'm losing my voice on this one. Yeah.
Man, yeah, if you're in Ohio or in Orlando, I'm telling you, like, if you think Pierre is one thing to listen to, you know, in your car or through your headphones, man, you got to see this guy live. He's absolutely incredible. I mean, the passion, it doesn't get any more real than this, for real. So, again,
the CD is on iTunes. Yes, Pierre Evans, the CD is on iTunes.
I saw that, man. I saw that, I think, earlier today.
Oh, yeah. Good. I'm getting good response, good feedback from it, man. It's been in the work for a minute. There's something else that's following that. I can't talk about that yet, but, there's something else coming up right behind that, man. It's just working.
Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, we'll definitely be staying tuned to your journey, to say the least. And really, Pierre, I mean, I guess just really to end it here, I typically have the guests always sort of end it on a good note, something that they would love the audience to not just hear, but of course, take away with and actually have a blueprint or some actionable steps. So what would that one thing for that one listener, maybe they're in the same spot you were, maybe they're, sort of struggling, they're on the streets, just they need some empowerment. What would that one thing be that you would love to leave them with today, brother?
Yeah, what I want you to do is I just want you to put everything on your shoulders. I want you to take responsibility, like it's all up to you. Where you are right now is because of you. What you have is because of you. And I want you to go get in the mirror. And I want you to be honest with yourself, right? So honesty with yourself. And I don't want you to just look at yourself in the mirror. I want you to go into I want you to look through you, right? To where you can see like your inner self. And I want you to just ask yourself, am I 100% happy with where I am in my life right now? Am I 100% happy with the things that are coming if I continue to do what I keep doing? And if the answer is no, then you immediately have to make the necessary changes. And if you don't make the changes, that means you love where you are. See, most of you don't want to admit yep, I'm not happy with where I am right now. I'm not happy with the way life is going. Because if you admit it and don't do nothing about it, then that means you love it, right? So be honest with yourself on where you are. Are you happy? if you're not happy, I just want you to identify what's the first thing you need to change. Not everything. What's the first thing you need to change? And then what do you need to put in its place? Right? So if you say, you know what, I got to stop eating fried food. I love chicken. Cool. I'm not going to eat fried chicken. I'm going to eat baked chicken. Right? We got to take one bad habit out the way and put a good habit there so we can help it to drown that bad habit. And when you get done with that habit, I want you to identify the next bad habit and then what good habit, and then push that out the way until you get it to the point where you go all the way through your bad habits. But the key is being able to come back around and do it again, because new habits that you set might not be a good habit for your new desk, for your new location, right? So I want you to pay attention. You might have to rewind that, but even though you change these habits and they're good for this season. They're good for this level. On your next level, they're no longer good anymore. So we got to keep rotating and say, yup, is this a good one? Okay, yup, is this a good one? Nope, that's a bad habit. Was a new good habit, and get that out the way. So let's make sure we pay attention to our habits, but you got to be honest with yourself on where you are right now, current place, current time, and then are you happy with it? If not, let's make changes.
Straight up, all about the habits. Again, for those of you who want to follow Pierre or cop his book, all right, I will attach the social links. I'll attach the website below that you can check out. And hey, Pierre, man, I really appreciate you being on the podcast, brother. It means a lot, man.
Nah, man, I appreciate you reaching out, man. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, yo, 21. I remember, man, we talked to you at 16, about to be 17. I'm like, we was down in the hotel lobby, man. I'm like, what you doing up this late, young boy? Ain't no Similac milk down here. You know what I'm saying? And you was up, man, just grinding, and you still pushing, man. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. And, only you control where you end up.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that, man.